Yo, yo.
Yo, we good?
Perfect. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, bro, how have you been?
Man, man. First and foremost, I'm gonna just say God is good. I've been great, man. I've been amazing. Just taking the necessary time and precautions to get my head right, get my mind right, get right for my family, for my daughter, my wife. Just getting right, man. Just getting right.
Yeah, I'm like so happy for you because like seeing your progression, just like you. I mean, it's crazy. That's 7 years ago. I feel
Yeah.
like that tour was like last summer. Well, not last, the summer before that.
Still, it feels like that, man. Like I still can't listen to certain songs without remembering Tour. Like
Right?
it, it's forever will be embedded in my head, man. That was an amazing time.
Yeah. Well, I want to start in the beginning, and then we're just gonna flow to current right now.
Okay.
Um, beginning. Growing up, born and raised in Staten Island,
Hmm.
NYC. Um, how was just, childhood for you and growing up in the Mecca of America?
It was amazing. It was a great time. Growing up in the '90s. I was born in 1989, so growing up in the '90s, that's like we everybody says it's the golden era, but it really, really is, man. Like there's nothing about that time that doesn't strike a certain memory. Like pizzas tasted different in the '90s, ices tasted different in the '90s. A dollar could go so much further in the '90s. You can go to the store, that dollar's gonna hold you down for a whole day. Especially in Stapleton. So man, it was an amazing time. It was an amazing time growing up at that time, and being around all of the different peoples, all of the different characters that I had in my neighborhood. When you grow up in the projects, I, of course, we constantly look at it or look down on it or think of it as negative sometimes, but there's such a positive to being around so many different types of people, so many different walks of life all the time. Literally, just
Yeah,
walking out of the building every day, you're coming in contact with a myriad of different people. So being around all of those different people, seeing those different people, connecting with those different people, you automatically have different life experiences to build off of. So, seeing all of these guys, whether they did music, whether they were artists, whether they were actors themselves, whether they did sports, all of these different people kind of, you pull different things from each person.
so, yeah, I love it. How was it though for you? Like when you got into the business, did you necessarily know exactly what you wanted to do, or was it kind of like I'm just gonna take what I could get and just kind of figure it out as it goes along?
I know I wanted to act. I knew at a very young age I wanted to act. My older brother was kind of in the business before I was. He'd done a few commercials,
Hmm.
TV spots, movie spots, et cetera, et cetera. But uh, I was doing drama at the time, and there were kids that were in my school that were, going out on auditions and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I remember when one kid came in and he was just telling me about like he did this one audition and he got like $5,000 for it. And I remember being that young and being like, 5,000? Jesus, fuck! What did you do for that? Um, and it felt like, okay, well, if he did it, let me try it.
Yeah.
And I remember asking my mom, and because my mom, helped my brother in the beginning. I think at the time when I came and asked her, and she was
Hmm.
already she had a job, the whole thing. She was very much like, "Yo, uh, I don't have time to help you out the way that I helped your brother out. It's a different time,
Hmm.
but I'll give you money to go get some headshots. I'll give you money to get a Metro card to go to and from the city." I'm like 13, 14 at this time. She's like, so if I give you this money and I let you do what you got to do, understand if you succeed at this, There's nobody that you can blame for your success but yourself. When you get up on that award stage or wherever you decide to go, you don't have to say thank you to nobody else but yourself. I just gave you the money to do it. She
Yeah.
said, but if you fail, there's nobody that you can blame for failing besides yourself, because you didn't apply yourself, because you didn't make yourself do it. So uh, she was like, I'll give you the money. Are you sure you want to do this? I said, absolutely. And the rest was history, man. Again, I at first, I always thought of myself more as a singer than anything else. Grew up singing in the house. My dad is a singer. My grandfather's a singer. Just grew up in a household that recognized music a lot more than acting. But I don't know, acting just felt like something fun I wanted to do. I wanted to make a couple dollars, and it turned into a really, really strong love thing.
Yeah. And you were in the perfect spot.
Yeah,
New
New
York
York
City,
City.
you can't go wrong. I mean, that's in New York or LA, you could start
Hey
off.
man, if they say if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. I swear.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like your career starting off. I mean, the TV shows you've been a part of are cult favorites,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because like I witnessed them, but just to see like how they've been done with for years now, but they're
Hmm.
still watched. I mean, 2006, you were Michael Lee in The Wire.
Yes.
2008, Dixon Wilson, 90210. I mean, then you were in The Breaks, which was first the TV movie, then
Mm-hmm.
to the actual show. You've been in like like how does it feel being a part of three, even more meccas of just like dope shows that will be around, I'm sure, when we're old,
Hmm.
and our kids, kids are saying, yo, that show was this and this when we were growing up and stuff.
Man, it feels great. It feels great. And not only does it's man, it's just God, man. That's the only person that I can kind of give it up to. I have to give it up to the Most High for that, because um, you know, he makes sure, or he makes sure that I'm in the right place always at the right time. So uh the biggest thing, my friend, I have one of my cousins.
Mhm.
They when I was first starting to do music, even before the acting, my cousin would always say, listen, the only thing you got to do in any one of these rooms, you're always going to be invited to a room that you feel like you're not supposed to be in. You're
Mhm.
always going to be given an opportunity that you may feel like you do not deserve. The only thing you have to do is show up and show out. You show up on time or before time. Understand, being on time doesn't mean that you're on time. It means you're late. You show up and you show out. You have to do more than you ever thought you could possibly do. All of these other times that you're doing it by yourself, consider all of that practice. But
Mhm.
when you get an opportunity to show out, you show out. So I always kept that in the back of my head with any audition, with any time I was in the studio with someone. There were a lot of times that I even looked at myself and I felt like I fell short, but
Mhm.
that was always my barometer. No matter what room you go into, don't let your ego or your hubris walk you into the room. You go in that room, you show up and you show out.
Yeah. And how did it feel though being like you weren't just on little networks. You were on the
Hmm.
the biggest networks. Like was it intimidating to you? Like because I feel like a lot of actors or people want to get in the industry. You
Hmm.
start off with a lot of more cable, not it's just stuff that isn't as known.
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
started off with the heavy hitters like boom, boom, boom. Like
It can be intimidating,
yeah,
depending on I think just depending on the way that you look at it. When we did The Wire, again, I was maybe 14, 15 years old.
crazy. It's,
Yeah. And I remember even I remember being 19 years old and being like, dang, I don't think I appreciated The Wire the right way. And now, as I'm older, I 200% believe that I've appreciated The Wire the right way, because if I would have known what I knew after, if I had the foresight, I would have went into it all nerves. It would
yeah,
have been ridiculous. But I think going into it the way that I did, just being a kid happy to be out of school, not having to go to school for those days, or, a kid just happy to be around some other kids and have a chance to play on screen in front of cameras,
Hmm.
not knowing if this is going to be good or bad, or if this was going to be the biggest thing or something that nobody ever sees. Just happy to be here in this moment. Um, I think that is what quelled the intimidation. Whereas now, any opportunities that come my way, um, whatever the case, even right now with the play,
Yeah.
there's obvious nerves that are attached to it. Broadway is something I've always wanted to do. I started with school plays and always was like, yo, I want to do a play. But I think I'm going into it, especially now with the understanding that I have that I didn't have before. I'm going into it just ready to have some fun with with a lot of like-minded guys.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to I can't wait to come check that out. Like October, I'm gonna definitely come through because, and I gotta come to New York City again. Like after all craziness, I've only been in Atlanta, and I feel like I've been missing LA, New York. It's just
Yeah,
weird
man.
not. But
Yeah.
another thing I want to talk about, 90210. How did it feel to be part of such like? I remember being little and hearing,
Hmm.
about, and it was an all white cast, and
Yeah.
I hope that they diversified it. It was huge. It wasn't like it didn't live up to the first, the Beverly Hills 90210. 90210 like has its own, you know, fans, its own new generation of fans. How did it
Yeah.
feel being a part of a legacy of that show? Because it was around for a long time
For a
beforehand.
long time. I think they did either 10 or 11 seasons before us.
Yeah.
We did five. We did 5 seasons. I At first it was a bunch of nerves. At
Hmm.
first it was definitely a bunch of nerves. Mainly because if you remember at the time, it was 2008. Um, it was 2008. Obama was about to go into office. And I remember going into the offices of CW, and this is just what sparked the nerves. Going into the offices of CW and walking around, and there's a few people who work there that are black. I wish I remember the guy's name. He came up to me. He said, "Yo, I hope you understand how big of an undertaking this is. Like, you're the only lead black kid on this show,
Hmm.
one, and you're the only lead black kid on any show on CW. This is the biggest thing that we've had ever." And I'm sitting there like, shit.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a
That's so.
lot. It was a lot at the time, but with everything that hit us all at one time,
Hmm.
um, you know, at that time we were kind of thrown into press like crazy before we even shot our first episode. So all of us being thrown into press the way that we were, the way they were pulling us this way and that way and this way and that way, we formed a very, very tight bond. So once we actually got on set, the nerves were off. It wasn't like you had to figure out how to be cool with this one or try to figure out how do we mesh or anything like that. It was more so give us the lines, let's have fun, because we went through the hell already.
Hmm.
All of that was craziness. We're ready now, and that's what took care of that, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's like so iconic. I mean, it's still watched today. It's on
Yeah,
every like
man.
platform. It's crazy. But I know I just actually texted her before I got on live with. I was like, "Yo, I'm interviewing someone you co-starred with." And she's like, "Who?" And I told her. She's like, "Oh, someone said, hey, you starred in yeah, started, yeah, Secret Life of Bees. You were in." I just texted Jennifer Hudson. I was like, "Yo."
Hey.
And she was like, Thomas said, hey. So how
Oh
was
man.
that though, too, that movie? Because that was like an all I remember that movie was being promoted.
Yeah.
Like it was a huge, definitely a movie, very. you know, it was an important film I feel that we needed.
Yeah.
And how was it being a part of that film and just like with that all-star lineup? Because yeah, it was huge.
And man, that was amazing. That was amazing. At that time, oh man, shout out to Jen, man. J Hud is the queen, the queen, bro. But everyone on that set, it I've been gracious enough, and like I've been, God has blessed me to be in certain sets that you start to cultivate family. There's a
Mhm.
lot of times that, I look at you go to any other set, a lot of times you never know how the energy is on that set. You never know who's banging with who kind of stays away from everybody else. But those sets, those moments that, were just very crucial in my development as a young man. I've been able to be a part of very close knit, very family oriented sets.
Mhm.
So we all just felt close to each other. Jen, um, Alicia Keys, Queen Latifah, Sophie Okonedo, uh, Dakota, like all of us, Paul Bettany. It was a very, 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 very close knit set. Uh, Nate Parker, that's the first time that I met Nate. So it was really amazing, man. It was really
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, when you're doing all of this, you're acting, you're acting, you're acting. Were you creating music? Because I know then, you dropped the album, and but how was it like? Were you creating while, or did you say, "Hey, I'm gonna stay focused on acting right now, and then when the music's ready, I'll start working on a project"?
No, I was always creating music.
You were okay.
From before I got my first acting job, I was messing around with my friends trying to figure out how to record or how to do this or how to do that and jumping from place to place to place, man. So, uh, yeah, I've always done music. Always kind of always had like some type of workings in music. It wasn't until after I did 90210 that I was like, okay, I want to I'm gonna leave the acting alone and I'm gonna focus on music. But I was always doing music.
Yeah, like, and how did it feel though to release like New York, a love story? Because what was it on September 30th,
Hmm.
2018? It's crazy. Like, I feel like that was yesterday that you dropped that, and like,
So we were trying to. I remember about New York, a love story. Funny thing, we were trying to drop it on 917, um, and we missed it because we didn't get one of the last one of the placements that we had. We didn't get the last like okay.
okay,
So then we were like, okay, the next date that we wanted to drop it on, another New York area code is 929. But 929 was like if music was dropping every Thursday, 929 was a Wednesday. So we had to drop it Thursday, which was the 30th. So yeah, man, it was a great time. It was dropping that finally was oh man, it was a long time coming. Me and Salam, we wanted to do some music that just felt like home, that just felt like New York. And I think after being in Los Angeles for like 6 years and not hearing anything that felt like home, that felt like
yeah,
New York, me and Salam sat down and we were like, let's carve out what New York sounds like. And yeah, man, from there, everything else was history.
yeah, and being nominated for a Grammy on your first, like, how did that feel? Because I feel like it's hard almost to get your first album nominated today.
Yeah.
Like how did that? I mean, because 2004. I mean, like you released the album the last quarter of 2013, and then
Mm-hmm.
2014 the Grammy nomination, and then going on tour. How did the Grammy, like, what did that feel like when you heard that nomination? Like, and then also who you were against. You were against over some heavy hitter. You know what I'm saying? That have been in the
Yeah,
industry.
yeah. It was man, I can't explain the feeling like that. Like the feeling is close to like having a child and the
Yeah.
child coming out being a prodigy. You know, it's like, you know, like it's a different type of feeling.
Mhm.
So I remember when we got the call, we were in Virginia. We just got finished watching the telethon. Like they have the Grammys before
Mhm.
when they're announcing who's nominated. They show on television the different categories. And I just remember they didn't say my name in any of it. So we watched the whole thing. They didn't say anything. I was like, all right, well, we didn't get it, guys. It's all good. Let's just, we had a club run that night. I was like, let's go to the club. Let's chill out, have some fun. I get a phone call from someone from the label. Uh, uh, Her name is Joanne. Shout out to Joanne. And she called me like in hysteria. Oh my God, Tristan, did you hear? I was like, hear what? What was going on? I'm thinking somebody got hurt, something.
Yeah.
She's like, Tristan, you got nominated. I was like, what are you talking about? Tristan, you're nominated for a Grammy. Tristan, you are nominated for a Grammy. It was the craziest moment, man. I definitely broke down, cried a little bit, but it was the craziest moment. Just to know that people, not only the fans, but
Mhm.
I guess since the Grammys are supposed to be kind of a group based on your peers, people who respect music and all of that stuff, to have them be like, yo, we respect this alongside Rihanna's and all of them. It was pretty big, man.
Yeah, it was like it's. I feel like anyone just nominated from the first album, that's just like something you can't take away. Like, yeah, you could be nominated again, and but I just feel like that first nominate and the first album, like, there's nothing really better than that. So yeah,
Yeah, man.
that's so dope. But
Thanks, man.
yeah, talk about the tour because I remember like reaching out to the label and getting that set up with you. And I mean, that lineup, who was it? Under the Influence, a music tour. It was
Yeah,
Wiz,
it
Jeezy,
was. Yeah, it was
Hype,
Wiz.
Ty Dolla $ign, Sage Gemini, Rich Homie Quan, I Am Sue, DJ Drama, and you. Like, that was when I remember seeing that lineup. I was like, damn, it's gonna start early.
Hey, mind you, a lot of people don't realize it because they weren't performing, but also with us on tour was Lil Uzi Vert and my boy Reese. Like there was a lot of guys that were on that tour with us that are like super crazy dope that we knew were dope then. Um, it's that tour. I don't even know what it is. There was nothing like it,
Yeah.
and to especially now, nowadays, well, before pandemic, I was trying to see like what hip hop tours were going out that kind of did something similar to what we did, and I couldn't really find much. Like it it was very reminiscent of like what you would see watching like backstage, with Jay-Z, DMX,
Uh huh.
Method Man, Redman, like job, all of these guys all on one stage, one night. Like it was nuts, man. It was nuts.
Yeah, and it was dope too. Like I remember being backstage, like all the buses were lined up. Y'all were
Hmm.
everyone kind of out. Like people weren't, but like you were saying, some artists kind of stay to themselves and you don't see them
Hmm.
just stage and that's it. But like you were all hanging with each other. It wasn't like it was any, hey, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't come in this
Yeah.
hall. Like y'all were all like, how much music did you make during that tour and like linking up with everyone as well?
Yo, there's songs that probably will never see the light of day that were fantastic, like ridiculously. It was just the music, the connections that we made on that during that time. It was all of it, man,
Hmm.
all of it. Ah, man, that just made me miss tour just thinking about it. It was a great time, man. Just to be around guys same age, same mindset, wanting to do the same things, wanting to get the same things done, and not afraid to go after it. It always made me feel like, oh, I got to stand up. No matter what it was, whether it was like a game that we were doing, whether it was whatever we were recording.
Yeah.
Being around guys like that will always make you want to do better, make you want to be better.
Hmm.
You know, Ty Dolla $ign is probably one of the most prolific writers I've ever met. Like that man is always working, even when it seems like he's not working. That man is always in that booth, like writing. He's doing something. Man, Wiz is a genius. It doesn't make sense how Wiz can do so many different things at one time besides calling him a genius. And
Yeah.
everybody else that we met on that stage, man, everybody else that we met on that tour, it's just, you don't get energy like that, man.
Yeah, it's rare. Like you were saying, like that, those lineups you don't get too often today. And it's crazy that
No.
it's not even 10 years ago, but you don't see that as much. You just see like one opener and just one head.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of keep it going because they don't want to, pay for the budgets or whatnot or have that many people on a show. But those are like, I don't know, that was a show for the history books
Yeah,
for sure,
man.
that whole tour.
Yeah.
But, then, 2015, I'll never forget seeing the premiere of Hello by Adele. And I'm like, hold on, I had to look. I was like watching, and I don't know what, I wasn't paying, like, I wasn't thinking who would be the love interest. Like, how did that even come about? Like, and how was the reception? Because that song was probably the biggest song of the next, like, 2 to 3.
Yeah. Yeah. It was nuts, man. First and foremost, shout out to the director, Xavier Dolan. I remember getting a call and Xavier was on the other line and just said, "Hey, listen, we're looking for an actor. We were looking for an actor for this thing. And, at first we were kind of trying to figure out which way we wanted to go. Did we want to go with more of an unknown actor?" And I was always a fan of yours from The Wire. I was like, "Oh shit, thank you." He was like, "Yeah." So I started speaking about you and I brought you up. I talked to Adele and I said, "Hey, what about Tristan Wilds?" And she was like, "Oh my God, I loved him from 90210." Ironically enough, Adele's first music placement on American television was on 90210.
That
So,
is
so
crazy.
yeah, so yeah, it was Chasing Pavements.
Yeah,
Yeah, they reached out and man, yeah, the rest was history.
yeah. That I just liked it too because in the video you could hear your voice. Like it
Mm,
was background, but I thought it was super dope that they kept like audio of you both
yeah,
talking. I
yeah.
thought it was unique because you don't see that too much. You see it usually like in the beginning of a video or the end. You don't really see it. I feel like with the song on, I thought that was super dope that they did that.
Xavier's a genius. Still to this day, a genius. So, you know, the little things that he would do, I remember there was like a time he had me and Adele just sit in a room and just kind of like talk, act it out, like what that feeling is, et cetera, and just kept the mic rolling. He was like, "Yo, just keep it rolling. Let's just capture all of this." He even me trying to direct now, he's somebody who I pull a lot from or kind of try to harken back to, like, "Yo, man, I remember he did this and this," and it always helps me out, man. Shout out to Xavier again.
Yeah, it was super dope. But then a couple years later, After Hours,
Hmm.
and I thought it was super dope. You had an album, then you did the episodes on YouTube.
Yes, yes,
So the six, I thought it was super dope. Like, how did you come up with everything for that project?
man. After Hours was a whole vibe. So at the time of working on After Hours, I was in the middle of shooting Shots Fired and The Breaks. We were shooting it at the same time. So the only times that I really had to myself were the night times.
Okay.
There was a studio one of my homeboys had. He was like, "Yo, you can come in at night. Like, you can come in at 12, block it out from like 12 to 6. Nobody usually in here. Block it out, bring your engineer in, whatever." And for maybe like about 3 to 4 months, maybe like 4 to 5 months actually, we were in there almost every night banging out the album. Like, we were in there. Some nights we got music done, some nights we didn't. Some nights we were just in there to try to rest and listen to music. Other nights we were in there going crazy. But it being in those studio sessions, creating at that time, and just constantly tweaking and trying to make things better and better. Man, there was nothing like that, especially because I got to do it with my own team. Like I
Yeah.
got to do it with the 95. It wasn't attached to no label. It was like, this was all us. It was literally all resting on our shoulders, what
Hmm.
had to get done. I learned a little bit from being independent and being under Salam, but once you're out there on your own, it's like you have to learn on the fly. You got to get it. You have to figure it out. So it was an amazing learning experience. It was probably one of the one. It's something that I always kind of keep close to my heart as like my biggest lesson in the music business and how to work and put together an album, what it takes to put together an album, especially in today's day and age.
Yeah. But was it hard for you, like you were saying, managing shots fired, the breaks, and doing mute? Was that hard to like maneuver? Like you were saying, you were going at nighttime when people were sleeping to make it work, and you know,
It was hard. It wasn't easy, but anything worth anything is worth the is you have to sacrifice something.
hmm.
And oh Jesus. Shout out to Tristan,
Right?
Yeah, that's her.
Want to say,
Um,
want to say hi.
yeah. No, anything that you guys want to get, anything that you guys want to achieve in any shape or form, any type of way. It doesn't matter if it's in this game, it doesn't matter if it's whatever industry that you're working in, anything. You could be a garbage man and want to own your own company. All of that takes sacrifice. And you have to figure out what you're willing to sacrifice to make it great. So for me, it was my nights. It was those night times that I could have been at home sleep. It was those night times that I could have been home with my girl. It was always you had to figure out what you're willing to sacrifice, and that's what we sacrifice, man.
Yeah, I love it. Well, last year, quarantine, it
Yeah,
affected all of us. I remember speaking to you, you were like, hey, I just want to take time with family, and I want to like congratulate you on, becoming a husband, a father, how
thank you,
did,
man.
and premiering Tristan for, what was it, the 50th anniversary of the S.
Hmm.
How was that, just presenting her to the world and just,
Oof, man, it
yeah.
was nerve wracking. It was nerve wracking. It was very, very nerve wracking because you never know you never know how it's going to be received. You know, the last thing you want is somebody to say something about your child because you're willing to jump over buildings for her or him, whatever your child is. Um, so it was very nerve wracking, and I've never in my career, I've never really been someone who was very like out, this is my family. This is like I keep a lot to
Yeah.
myself. I kind of keep a lot to like very close to the chest. But with my daughter, with my wife, I was like, you know what? There's nothing to hide.
Mhm.
And this is a great opportunity. Why not? And man, yeah, it came together better than I expected it. I'll tell you that.
Photo shoot was super dope. Like everything about it, I was like so happy for you and like your
Thank you,
family.
man.
Yo, that's
Thank you.
that's a good way to like, show the world and not
Yeah,
just, any way.
yeah, man.
But how is it, becoming, a husband and a father? How does it feel though now like you're working for someone? Before it's all about you,
Me, yeah.
yeah, it's just how it is. And now you have a family. How has it been working in quarantine and just, coming home to a family?
Man, it's been great. You know, a lot of people try to figure out their why, especially when you're before a family or before even with a family. A lot of
Hmm.
people try to fight to figure out that why. Like, what's the reason I'm getting up this morning? What's my motivation? What's pushing me towards the door those days that I don't want to go anywhere? And during this quarantine, we all had a lot of those days. We all had those days where it just felt like, you know what, just laying here feels better than anything else. Or, you know what, let me just sit here for a little while longer. But every morning, every night when I look at those two, I always realize like, okay, this is why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Legacy. This is why I'm doing it. There's a reason now, and
Mm.
it what I've realized is that, you know, I've stopped doing it for selfish reasonings. Like, I'm not doing it to be famous. I'm not doing it to be rich or anything like that. The money comes.
Yeah.
Fame comes, it goes. All of that stuff comes and goes. The biggest thing I want to do is make sure that, you know, when I'm not here anymore, my name, my daughter can sit on my name for the rest of her life. My son can sit on my name for the rest of his life. You know, their father put in enough work in this business, in this world, that created enough opportunities, enough uh, amazing circumstances that they don't ever have to worry about anything that I ever had to worry about in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's real talk. And it's dope in this industry now today, because when you think about it, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was like looked down upon to have a kid at a young age.
Yeah,
Like it was a hidden thing, and now it's celebrated, which it should have never been like looked down upon. And now it's like, yo, like no, it's dope. You're starting a family, and you know,
yeah,
like
man.
the different time. It's so weird how things like that are different now, but for the good. I'm happy.
Absolutely. But you got to think about it. It's cyclical, man. You know, it's you just like you said, 10, 15 years ago, it was kind of looked down upon, especially being like in the hip hop or R&B lane. It's like, you know, you don't want to have a kid, you don't want to give that perception. But before that, like 20, 25, 30 years ago, all of the guys that were like turning 30 looked older, were having children, whole families. It was different. It was a different time. And I
Yeah.
think it's the circle, you know, it's coming back around.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, let's talk. How excited are you to be on Broadway? I mean, when you
Man,
posted that and seeing the press release, and it's an all-star lineup, like, and it's gonna be. I feel like Broadway is gonna be so like crazy
yeah.
when it opens up. I think it opens in September, like Broadway officially,
Hmm.
and you start opening in
Uh,
October.
October 31st is our opening night.
Yeah, like, how does it feel? What are the nerves like? Because you know that's.
It's
Ooh,
real, man. It's real. It's real. Again, I look at it as you know, another opportunity for my daughter to be like, yo, my dad did that.
yeah.
Uh, but for me, it's an amazing moment, man. It's an amazing moment. You know, there's a lot of people who don't get opportunities like this. There's a lot of people who don't get an opportunity to be on the stage with the people that we're on stage with, who don't get an opportunity to work the way that we're working, to be how we're being, to, you know, man, it feels good, man. You know, again, the same way I said in the beginning, the only thing I could do is every morning, every morning I look up and I be like, yo, thank you, God, for this opportunity, for all of the opportunity. Thank you for yesterday, thank you for today, and thank you for tomorrow. Because, you know, this 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 really feels like it's only the beginning, man.
Hmm. Yeah. Like, I want to tell you though, the show, was it something that was in the works like before quarantine, or was it something that came about during
This was
quarantine?
the show was something that was working way before quarantine. They did a few runs in Syracuse and in Baltimore
Hmm.
beforehand, and was supposed to be coming to Broadway 2020.
Okay.
Quarantine happened, everything got shut down, so they had to push everything. So by the grace of God, I'm free, they're free, and everything just really connected. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect time. And like, you couldn't be more like, the world's all
Mm-hmm.
slowly opening up. You know what I'm saying? It's happening. It's
For
finally.
real. For real.
But what have you been doing, you know, besides being with family? What has been, and working as well?
Mm.
What has kept you like, have you been checking out the verses? What have you been doing to
Oh
keep
yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah. Club quarantine for sure.
Okay.
Club quarantine for sure. The verses for sure. You know, shout out my brother Brian
Yeah.
Michael Cox, Love Zone for sure. Uh, but man, it's the biggest thing that I've been doing during quarantine, especially just being in the house with the fam. It's really, really connecting with my wife.
Yeah.
I think this quarantine, you got the chance for a lot of people. A lot of people either you come out of this quarantine a stronger family or a broken link because spending that much time together, it'll really show you the truth of a person,
Yeah.
what you're made of, how you are, and constantly remembering or thinking, yo, this quarantine, me and my wife made a conscious effort to relearn each other. I've known Christina since I was 15. We met on the set of The Wire.
Um,
We've been dating on and off since then. So coming into it at first, for me, I can't speak for her, but for me, I was very much coming into it with the mindset that I'm dating the same girl that I was dating before, not realizing the woman who she became.
mhm.
So I needed the time to relearn her and to create the boundaries necessary for her, uh, create the boundaries necessary for us to constantly be able to relearn each other. We're
Mhm.
growing every day. We're learning how to be different people every day. And you have to give your partner the space and and time to learn you as you want to learn them. So yeah, that's for me. That's what the quarantine really was. It's really learning my wife so that um, you know I know I love her and I know that she's my soulmate. But now I understand her way more than I did pre-quarantine.
Yeah, definitely. But I know I have a birthday coming up. I know you have a birthday coming
Yes,
up.
sir.
I'm June. I know you July. You
July.
know,
Yes, sir.
what are you, a Cancer?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, see, I'm a Gemini. So yeah, we're
Hmm.
right next to each other. But what it's kind of we can maybe have a party this year. What are you thinking of? What are you?
Man. Listen, if I'm not working on my birthday, which I pray I am, um, I'm gonna go somewhere. I'm a ride out. Everybody has their passports. The baby has their passport. I'm gonna just go somewhere. Like I would rather spend my birthday on a tropical climate and tell people, yo, if you want to pull up, come meet me here, versus doing a crazy big party. You know, maybe we'll party next year, but this
Yeah,
year,
gotta
this
eat.
year for 22, I'm gonna go on the beach. I'm gonna chill out. Yeah,
Oh, it's under. I like that. Yeah, it makes sense because the big parties, it's a little
still a
dicey.
little tricky.
Yeah, but to close up, bro. You know, what do you have in the works besides Broadway? Like, have you worked on
Mm,
any shows? I know you've been busy. I know you've been under wraps.
yeah, yeah. We have a show coming out soon with Apple TV that I've been working on throughout the quarantine. It's called Swagger. It's kind of loosely based on Kevin Durant's life when he was playing AAU basketball. Shout out to Reggie by the Wood. Shout out to the whole Imagine family. It's Shout out Apple TV. Shout out CBS. It's gonna be something fun, man. I don't think I haven't seen anything like this. It's I haven't seen anything like this about like kids and playing ball or anything like this in a long time. It's very much like it's like the Sandlot meets The Wire. If
Okay,
that's yeah, it's kind of real. It's kind of real.
that's super dope. Are there any shows that are out right now that you would like want to be maybe a feature role on? Any that are catching your eye that you've been like checking out while
Oh,
on quarantine?
absolutely. The whole power, everything that the power is doing right now, I rock with them. That's family over there. So they know where my heart is. Snowfall is another great show.
Yeah.
Love Snowfall. Um, I don't know, man. If I had to do a show now, I would want to do something like Left Field, like the next American Horror Story that they do. You know, you know, if Ryan Murphy will have me, I would love to be a slasher. You know, let's figure it out.
That would be, yeah, because that's what I like about you. You always like diversify your roles. You just don't
Hmm.
stay in one lane. Because a lot of actors just kind of stay in their niche, but you've always kind of taken roles that are different and you figure them out, and you're awesome at it. So like,
Thank you, man.
yeah, I could definitely see American Horror. That'd be sick. But last, music. I
Hmm.
have a song. What almost I think maybe 8 months ago.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Uh,
how was that, and
it was
what's
good, man. Shout out to Salam Remy for pulling me out of my own shell. Uh, no, man, it's home vacation was definitely something that was necessary, especially with everything going on in the quarantine. And shout out to Salam, shout out to my big bro, James Fauntleroy. Them two guys, we always kind of just make magic. So, uh, man, it was necessary. We just needed some good vibes.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, we're working on some new music, man. And man, I'm telling you, even just talking about tour just now, I'm like, damn, I gotta get in the studio, man.
About to be. I'm hoping the best tours come from not tour. You know what I'm saying? Because like I can't wait. I think I may cry at my
Yeah,
first concert because that was one thing I like. My therapy was watching the show. It's
there's nothing like it, man. So I can't wait. I can't wait.
well, Mac, I want to thank you so much for always being like. We've only met once, but I feel like I've known you.
Forever, man.
Yeah,
Seriously.
crazy.
Of
It's crazy. It was that long ago, but I feel like it was a couple. I just want to, I appreciate you. Thanks for always being, a dope person, being humble, and just
course.
yeah, appreciate you, bro. And can't wait to see the Broadway. I'm definitely coming to New York for that. I got
Please, please do.
my ticket. I seen I'm gonna buy the $159 ticket. That I want the orchestra. I already checked them out. I'm ready to choose on what seat I want.
Perfect.
So yeah, I'm definitely gonna come check you out, bro. But best of luck to you and the fam. And yeah, definitely keep in touch.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, appreciate you, bro. Have a
All
good
right,
one.
peace.
Okay, be safe.